display featuring a black hole, an empty shelf, and some pocket lint. It's a Business Pants Friday show here at June 6th. Studios featuring analyst Matt Moscardi. We second show in a row I butchered the name Business Pants.
I know, Budness bands.
On today's weekly wrap-up, the girls are fighting. That's a quote.
Yeah.
A humble Peruvian creates a potentially immense precedent, and accidental proxy advisory advice.
Wait, is the humble Peruvian Ari the data queen?
No.
Oh.
Absolutely not. She's not that humble. I don't find her
but
that
she
humble.
is Peruvian,
Yeah,
so...
but who cares? There's more than one Peruvian in the world. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. Look, I do get excited every time I see the word Peru or Peruvian, so maybe I was drawn to that story. Maybe that's why I selected it. So you might have a point there.
Something about Peruvian. Have you been to Peru?
Of course not. I did go to a Peruvian restaurant outside of Logan Airport once. Does that count? I think it does. I think it does count, actually. You ready to do this? Come on.
Yeah, all right. Let's go.
I'm already tired.
Hey, yeah, I'm exhausted. And you've got like 93 pages of story of the week.
No, I don't read it all. Come on, let's start with the obvious. And I don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I think actually you pick up this thread later on in the show.
Kind of, not really. I try to stay away from it.
The baby billionaire bromance is over for now. I don't know. They're having a tiff. But here's the headline I liked. I actually took this one from people.com. I've never taken a headline from people.com. Savannah Guthrie, she's one of the hosts on the Today Show. Savannah Guthrie says Elon Musk and Donald Trump are giving seventh grade girl as president says Tesla CEO has lost his mind. Now, at first I was like, is that an insult to seventh grade girls? But then I had a seventh grade girl, and man, did she go through some incredible fights with her friend. Back and forth. I mean, really, they were really just a sight to behold. So maybe Savannah's right. Maybe this is giving seventh grade girl.
I got to be honest. I have an eighth grade girl and a sixth grade girl right now.
That's not seventh grade, so you have no evidence.
So I have no idea. I did seventh grade once to get to eighth grade.
Your kids are more mature than mine, I think.
Yeah, no, they currently are holding down 40-hour-a-week jobs and paying into Social Security. No, they're not more mature. They're big, fat babies. Just
all
like
right. Well,
every
what do you
teen.
Do you want to talk about this now? Or you want to talk about later?
I mean, look. Honestly, it's just a nonstop like fire hose of exaggeration. Both of them. This is the man flake economy. This is what it is, right? Like, now it's a dick war between the richest man and the president. Like, it's just what it was gonna. It was always gonna be this. We don't need to talk about it. I mean, there are implications to their. I mean, Musk loses, right? Musk loses this battle.
For now, can I just say something? I hate to do this. I'm not this person, but I'm about to be this person. I don't. No one would know these thoughts because we don't talk about pop culture. I'm not much of a Star Wars guy. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh.
Like, it's okay. It's fine. I like it. I love Star Wars, the movie, as a child. But after that, I don't know if I really care. But I am watching this new series called Andor. I don't know how new. It's probably not that new.
I heard it's really good,
and it's by one of my favorite film screenwriters. And I'm going to admit to you, I love it. I really love it.
Well,
I'm in the first season. I'm in the first season, and this is a quote I heard. And I'm actually going to quote an episode of Andor.
Andor.
I don't do this. I don't do pop culture. But here's the quote from just last night. A character said they're about to attack basically Trump's house. You know, they're fighting the imperial forces. They're fighting the big enemy, which is basically the oligarchy, really. I mean, if you think about it. Here's the quote. He says, "It's so confusing, isn't it? So much going wrong, so much to say, and all of it happening so quickly. The pace of oppression outstrips our ability to understand it, and that is the real trick of the imperial thought machine." When I heard that quote, I thought of these oligarchical billionaire babies fighting all the just all the nonstop headlines. It's just a mess, and I think they're absolutely right. I don't know where to look anymore. I don't know how to fight. I don't know.
The pace of oppression outstrips our ability
Here
to
I am,
understand it.
like co-founding a company that just tries to get people to pay attention to who runs corporations, and even that, people are like, I don't know. What are we doing? Why would we do that? Why would we vote out a director? What do we? I mean, I even have a story this week, Matt, about the annual meeting at United Healthcare, which maybe is the final proof that nobody is ever going to care about anything ever again.
No, for me, the nail in the coffin was Boeing last year. So
that might be true.
I've spent a year in pure nihilism. All right,
Anyway,
let's move on for this.
On.
Everyone else is covering it. No one
cares.
cares.
Let's get nerdy for the second story of the week. Only because I want to make look. I'm going to preface this by saying, is it okay now for us to make fun of BlackRock again? Now that they've fully capitulated to the right. Here's the headline: BlackRock removed from Texas boycott list after quitting climate groups. That's
wow.
This decision followed BlackRock's. Texas had an investment blacklist. This decision followed BlackRock's withdrawal from several climate-focused initiatives, including the Net Zero Asset Managers Alliance and Climate Action 100+. So congratulations, Larry Fink. I mean,
wow, you just remove your signature from like 2 groups and you're doing business in Texas again. That's all it took?
Matt, is this possible? According to the reporting at Reuters, they have more than $4 billion in Texas funds are invested with BlackRock, and that the BlackRock itself has nearly $12 trillion in funds, right? In assets.
Yeah.
Is it possible that if I'm doing the math right, I don't really understand assets under management too well, but that Texas represents 0.03% of all of. But is it really that small? I mean, I'm being serious for a second. Is it really that small?
It probably is. Yeah.
And this,
I mean, look,
what? I can't wrap my head around Larry Fink like being such a wimp.
This is everybody. The idea
okay, it's not everybody.
Access to
this is
a
Larry
market.
Fink. But Larry Fink has
no.
Okay,
every
go
financial
ahead.
firm, is backing off of all of these.
What was the song and dance we had for the last 5 years? What were we talking about? What was the business roundtable saying? What was anybody saying?
The broader implications of it was what everyone was afraid of, because it's like, it probably is more than $4 billion in Texas overall. It's probably $4 billion in Texas, just one pension fund, or maybe a couple pension funds.
I don't know where this data came from. Yeah,
but it could be a lot more than that. But you're still talking about like probably the maximum I could think is 1% of their funds would be in Texas. Like that, it's not that
possible. Much. 1%? You think it's even that high?
But BlackRock manages money for every global pension fund, like every single one. All of them have BlackRock funds, right?
And most of them do not think like Texas.
The vast majority of them are not Texas,
like Texas,
right?
Yeah.
But the cost was, lose 1% or less of our AUM, or just unsign ourselves from a couple of dopey climate, things and still do climate-y stuff, which they never really did in the first place. I don't know. For them, the trade was easy. It was the excessive ass kissing that was really the question mark. Like, why do we have to go dick suck the new Texas Stock Exchange? Why do we have to why do we have to
I don't follow
kiss
it.
the ring and show up at conferences?
I don't understand it.
That part I don't get.
But I guess what most people would say is that this is who he always was, or is it?
Yeah,
that's
correct.
He just flops in the wind. I don't know. Here's the part that I loved. And I say that, of course, sarcastically. Larry Fink made $31 million last year, including an $11 million bonus, which, according to the proxy statement, was based on subjective criteria. They themselves said it's completely discretionary. And one of the criteria was, I'm quoting from the proxy statement, to lead in a changing world. I just thought that was cute. And I will say this, too. This is an impressive stat. Especially considering that BlackRock itself owns 6% of BlackRock. A full 32% of BlackRock investors actually said no to Larry Fink's pay
Yeah,
package.
yeah, they did. They did
So
do that.
yeah, I don't know, a little confusing. Yeah, there you go. That's the second. That's the
I love
nerdy.
that BlackRock owns 6% of BlackRock.
That's the second nerdy story of the week. Here's the third one. Also, okay, we're just gonna stay in the land of depression. Big brands are pulling back on Pride merchandise and events this year. Corporate America pulls back from Pride. No rainbow logos from big brands as June starts. Blah 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 blah.
I mean, none of this is that surprising because they didn't care in the first place.
Yeah, so
Look,
that's what. Do you really believe that? You really believe
I
that, or
do.
are they scared? I know you have a darker view of humanity than I do. I want to. Mine is so maybe mine's more cynical, but I actually think people, even Donald Trump, I think actually is not anti-gay. He's not. He's pro-gay rights, but it's a political move. He's so I just think
I
that
guess.
I think these people actually do. I think Target actually does believe in, but they're such wimps. They're such. They just follow the money. They just follow the dollar, which is worse.
But
I
if you
guess. I don't know.
believe in a thing,
Yeah.
then you do the thing, right? Like that.
No,
Like
is that how corporate America
but
works?
just strip it down to core beliefs, right? Like
Yeah.
I think actually the last decade, and we talked about this back at the mothership. The last decade has been about like corporate purpose, and I remember when we were still at MSCI. Like we were talking about like how these companies were like trying to figure out their how to we went through processes inside MSCI to like give MSCI a mission statement. Do you remember that bullshit
Yeah.
that we did, right?
Hey, how dare you?
No, very real. And everybody's purpose was exactly the same. It was like the client comes first or whatever. That
Yeah.
was like every
My
corporation's
purpose was
purpose.
to hit a home run over the green monster.
Well, the fact is, like, if you have something that is like a deeply held belief, like say equality, then celebrating Pride Month and diversity at your company is squarely in that deeply held belief. You don't give it up because Donald Trump says you shouldn't do Pride Month. You
Well-
don't give it up because political winds change against the thing. You
So you-
believe the thing or you don't.
You really don't think that there are boardrooms, especially after what happened at Bud Light? You don't think there are boardrooms that, even though they even might vote for Democrats, they might believe in the principles of gay rights, that they're just going to say no because they don't want critical feedback? You don't think that's possible?
I think Costco is like the example of a boardroom that said, we don't care what
Yeah.
you're saying about diversity
And
or
they're
pride or any of that.
And they're hokey hot dog sellers. They're not exactly like this. You don't walk in there and feel like you're walking into a seminar at Bryn Mawr, on like
I'm just-
19th century poetry.
I mean, it's literally
sell hot
giant
dogs
warehouse. They sell
and
hot dogs
greasy
in a
pizza.
warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they sell everything, but
yeah,
it's like,
that's true. That's true.
I don't. It suggests to me that there are companies with deeply held beliefs and then companies who view themselves as, well, our job is to make money. We will shift wherever the money goes and we will adopt whatever the narrative is. Those are the wimps. The wimps have no actual feelings. Like they may have personal feelings like, well, I have a gay friend or I vote for liberals or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like, but I don't understand the corporate ethos. You should either
Yeah.
like selling to gay people or LGBTQ plus communities or hiring people of color is important because you recognize that it's a way to grow your company, to be inclusive, to increase your talent pool when you're looking to hire, whatever it is.
Or what about?
Or
yeah,
you don't believe that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Or what about just celebrating fun things? I mean,
Yeah, rainbows are great.
where I live, like Pride Month is just fun for a whole month. It's just like parties and music and just stuff,
Like
parades.
in the end,
In fact, there was I think it was CNN was covering the fact that actually Pride Month represents a considerable chunk of business for whoever celebrates
yes,
it.
of course it does.
It makes a lot of money, is what it really does.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
And in the end, the companies that are backing off on this are telling you something. If you are a buyer, if you are a potential employee, what they're telling you is we are willing to trade you for what we think are political expediencies, whatever the way the wind is going. And every boardroom that is saying, "Oh, well, I love gays, but I just don't think our company should celebrate them." They're telling you something, right? Like that's telling you there is no moral belief system or broader thought process or deeply held sort of ethics that they're adopting. They are literally, they adopted pride because they thought they could sell you more shit. They're unadopting it because they're worried that you won't buy it. Like somebody's going to get angry. Robbie Starbuck, citizen journalist, is going to write a really angry report.
Yeah, I mostly think about Dimitri Stockton when we talk about this issue because Dimitri sits on the board of Target as well as Deere, both companies kind of notoriously getting rid of their DEI program. So he's the one I always consider. Dimitri, either you're listening or maybe your partner's listening. I don't know, or maybe who knows, your children. Give us a call. I'd like to hear how that vote went. I want to hear.
I want to hear the inside scoop.
Yeah, why not? Right? I'm sure he'd share that. All right, let's move on. This is all getting stupid. The last big story of the week. Again, another nerdy one, but demonstrative in a lot of ways. United Health Group AGM was held this week. Now, do I need to sum up all of the craziness going on at United Health Group? And not just including the murder of one of its named executive officers, but do I need to sum up? Do I need to, Matt? I'm asking a question.
I'm pretty sure you don't.
Okay, good. Here's what investors thought. Average director support, 94%. The guy who created the mess in the first place, who's boomeranging back as CEO and who was chair for all these years, who's created all the boards and hired everybody, Stephen Hemsley, he got 93% support.
Wow.
Yeah.
The audience apparently didn't own shares. I don't.
Yeah, there was an article that said that he's stepping forward. He stepped forward to acknowledge the fallout and chart a new course, promising a comprehensive review of some of the company's most controversial practices. So that again, the guy who created the controversies is here. In fact, the Wall Street Journal is even saying that he apologized. He apologized for United Health's recent performance and cited a need to rethink many internal processes. This is the guy that is sailing through
the part that I think people don't know, because they announced Andrew Whitty steps down. This is after the assassination of Brian Thompson.
He stepped down in May. Yeah,
all these problems. Hemsley steps into the CEO role. And some people know that he's a boomerang, some don't.
Yeah.
But the part that I think most people don't know is that the entire time the last time he was CEO was like 2011 or something like that, right? Like I think he was CEO 2 CEOs ago.
But he's been executive chair forever, right?
I think people don't know what executive chair is.
So
when he says he's acknowledging the fallout and chart a new course, he's promising comprehensive review some of the company's most controversial practices.
Yeah.
He's actually an executive at the company.
Yes.
He's not a guy who's coming in and being like, I'm going to do a review of all the practices that we have and see which ones don't work and which do. I want to address the fallout from some of these issues. He was a paid executive at the company for 20 plus years. These are not things that are new. He should know every single one of these things. He's an executive. Executive chair was not like guy they brought in to be CEO again or guy they brought in to be CEO for the first time. It's not outside hire, Stephen Hemsley. It is existing executive takes over other executives' role, promises to figure out what's going on. What are we doing?
To be clear, and now we're in the world of semantics, but I just want to be clear. He stepped down as executive chair in 2019, but remained as chair and of course kept his equity. So it's really just a matter of semantics, right? I mean, he was formerly CEO forever. He was executive chair after that, Now they call him a non-executive chair, but what does that even really mean? I mean,
When you have
Yeah.
the number of shares that he has,
well,
and
let's talk
like
about
more
that.
than the executives who work there.
Let's talk about that because actually, this is an area of corporate governance that is constantly overlooked. I don't think data providers like MSCI have ever noticed these types of things. I don't know if anyone does. I don't know if anyone reports on them in the right way. But Stephen Hemsley, kind of hard to figure out. But as of the proxy date, he owned about 1.2 million shares. It looks like as of a couple of weeks ago, he might own up to about 1.7 million shares. But the other thing they did at the annual meeting is the company actually raised the cash dividend for shareholders, which is maybe like a way to garner their vote. I have no idea. So that cash dividend is up to $2.21 a share. This means that roughly speaking, Stephen Hemsley is making about $3.5 million every
Yes.
quarter.
Yes, correct.
Every quarter, he's making
From
over
dividends.
$10 million a year just on the dividend. So to call him a non-executive chair is ludicrous. But
Yeah.
anyway, to your point, yeah, he's the guy who. Anyway, the shareholders supported him 93%, and looking at it a little bit deeper, I don't know what they're up to. They're 99% support for directors like Paul Garcia, who's the former CEO of Global Payments. I don't know how that helps the board. 99% support for Kristen Gill, who was the former VP Business Finance Officer at Alphabet. I mean, I don't know that they care. They just don't really care. That's just my takeaway.
I mean, yeah, it's. You think they care that the company's under investigation for like Medicare fraud and stealing from 401ks?
Yeah.
Like,
Oddly,
no.
the lowest vote, which isn't that low, was 86% support for John Noseworthy. And forget the joke about his name. This guy was the former CEO of the Mayo Clinic, so you'd think he might be important, right? But anyway, what they did say no to, although not it is an advisory vote and it didn't reach a majority, but 40% of shareholders said no to the say on pay vote. So I don't know if that's meaningful, but it's not really. Anyway,
really got him. You got him there.
That's my fourth story of the week. Is even at United Health Group, shareholders don't really know what to
All right.
say.
So my options here are
ahead.
the Manflake fight,
Yes.
BlackRock
By
getting back
BlackRock,
into Texas.
You really mean Larry Fink?
Larry
who
Fink
controls
getting
that
back
company.
into Texas.
Yeah.
Big brands pulling back on Pride and United Health Group's AGM results.
Four good ones. I like those.
I can't choose United Health Group's AGM results. Like,
okay, it's fine. I just wanted to talk
we
about it.
knew those were going to be the results, right?
Actually, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was a little surprised. Go ahead.
I mean, like, Boeing paid Dave Calhoun for literally 20 years of destroying the company a $40 million golden parachute. And shareholders
that's true.
approved it.
That was
a vast majority.
And that was like 300 customers killed as opposed to one named executive officer killed.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. So,
Yeah.
like, just
Actual
the trade
customers,
there.
yeah.
So I can't choose that. BlackRock getting back on the Texas list was also sort of inevitable. This is how, like, the grift works, right? Like, this is you do a thing and then they do the other thing.
The art of the deal.
I mean, everything's now transactional. The Republican Party in this country is just basically, what can you give me? That's all it is. Give me something. And BlackRock gave them no more climate. Like,
Texas,
we don't care about the climate.
Texas is the best at it. They feed their supporters this rhetoric against the left about, we're pro oil, we hate woke stuff, we hate the sun, we hate everything. But then they're the ones taking all the money for renewable energy, right? They're the ones. Yeah. They're the ones making bank off of that. Yeah.
It's just give me something,
Give me something.
So the give me something state.
What is your winner?
That leaves me. I can't really choose that. That leaves me with Pride or the
girls are fighting, as AOC said. The girls are fighting.
The middle school men, like in the schoolyard. They're just so dumb. I have to go with Pride. I just have to go with Pride.
Pride. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got to go with Pride.
Well, it's the start of Pride Month. Yeah.
It's the start of Pride Month, and I knew this was coming. It was all inevitable, but I cannot, in good conscience, choose Musk and Trump throwing mud at each other. Like,
I wonder what is
it's
it?
so dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb. Is it meaningful at all when we look at companies like Tesla? Who knows? I don't know, right?
I mean,
they're gonna make up anyway.
they're gonna make up, but it's just what the dumb part about it to me is not like that it happened, right? Like, because that was inevitable too. It's that this is where we are. Like the richest man and the most powerful,
Yeah.
person in the country.
Fighting on social media of all places.
They don't even like talk. Like, I told my kids, like, if you have a problem with someone, call them up or say it to their face. They can't even do that. Like,
Well, yeah.
we're doing polls on social media and saying like,
speaking of my daughter,
that's so dumb.
so shout out to AOC and Savannah Guthrie. Speaking of my daughter, in 8th grade, she got into trouble for something related to something that she texted or posted, and that was the moment where we had to sit her down and her friends and be like, don't ever make this public. Like, let's just
correct.
Like, let's keep all this in house. Let's just work these things out. And since then, Matt, it hasn't happened again. She actually learned the lesson.
I mean, that's because they turn into adults. It's like these people are not adults; they're toddlers. And like when it devolves to Elon had no problem with the bill, and Elon saying, "I didn't even see the bill," and it's like, you totally did. You just have like, I threw you out. You didn't throw me out. I left. Like, what are we doing? Like. I can't choose that. I can't choose that. So we'll go with, let's move
Big
on.
brands are pulling back on Pride. So you picked a depressing one, yeah.
Pride. Let's do Goodliest.
Well,
I like Goodliest.
Well, do you want to just do yours since it's
my Goodliest was the man flake feud.
Laughing
at it. It was so ridiculous.
I like that. Maybe that's where the vote should go for this one.
I just love Trump, we're going to remove all SpaceX contracts. Musk, we're going to decommission the Dragon spacecraft before you do that. It's such baby material. Like, I actually want my kids, my 7-year-old and my 12-year-old, my 14-year-old, to read it so that they can be like, wow, this is so dumb. Like, this is how not to resolve a conflict or even talk about it.
I gotta say, I always feel like an idiot in these situations because I was surprised at how quickly it went into, like, I guess Elon Musk was claiming that Trump is in the Epstein files. I was surprised. Even I was surprised how quickly it went, like, just straight middle school. Like, I get fighting about bills and companies, and because that's what they do, I guess. But to go there so quickly, and then Trump's calling him crazy. I was just like, wait, what? Really? But why do I fall for? Why am I surprised?
I can't get over, like, the WWFification of this country.
Society.
It used to be.
It's not just this country, yeah.
But you used to you wanted to. It was like dunking on social media was reserved for social media, and then in real life, people didn't really act that way. But it's like the spillover from social media, the constant desire to dunk on everybody, is now playing out with the two arguably most powerful people in this country trying to dunk on each other on social media about nothing. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
You feel better, Matt. Does this make you feel better? There was a study that came out yesterday. A study that came out that asked the people who live in their country, in their respective countries, if they feel like their society is broken.
Oh,
that's the actual quote, broken, which is really depressing when I think about it. And the United States, understandably, 66. That's a lot. 2/3 of people think society is broken. But Matt, we're not alone. In France and the UK, 65%. So it's the same percentage think it's broken. In Germany, that's up to 77%. So we all feel broken. It's not just the United States.
Look, it's social media.
Although I guess
done this to us.
I will say this: we probably export broken better than any.
No, it's Mark.
Yeah,
Mark owns 85% of the social media market, but it's Mark, it's Evan Spiegel, it's Sergey, it's Larry, it's middle school man boys, who effectively created tools to dunk on each other, and that gets clicks, and that broke down society. It is a 1-to-1 to me. It isn't like a slow burn of something.
Yeah.
It is 1-to-1.
Is it weird that I felt a little bit better, but that some of the other countries feel the same way? I always just feel like the U.S. is in crisis mode. But anyway,
that's worse.
So that's your goodliest dunking on the idiots. Mine, I actually have two that are a little bit more serious. The first one is this headline: the Trump EPA tried to bury some good news.
Ooh.
So this is just so weird. A climate report acquired by a Freedom of Information Act request, of all things, shows that the U.S. climate pollution actually declined in 2023. U.S. climate pollution fell by 2.3%. This is in the first full year of Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. But of course, Trump, they tried to hide the good news.
They blew up all the elements that would have.
So stupid. But I guess anyway,
I can't celebrate that.
There's some good news buried in there. And how about this one? The headline is how a Peruvian farmer's legal defeat raised new risks for companies. So there's a Peruvian farmer filed a lawsuit against German energy company RWE. All he wanted was $17,000. Because of glacial melt that he says that RWE was contributing to, which was causing flooding from a lake. That's all he wanted, $17,000. Of course, the court said no, but they couldn't really prove it. But the court acknowledged the legal principle that major greenhouse gas emitters can be held liable for climate-related damages.
Wow.
And this is a new precedent. It actually set a new precedent. So there you go.
In Germany.
In Germany. So
you
what?
know what? I have to choose that one because everything about this week stinks.
I just love the humble request. $17,000.
I know. Like I feel like you should have asked for more. Like,
well, I don't know, because I've had a lot of flooding issues with my basement, and I remember we did get a price to get some pumps, redo all the basement, just all kinds of stuff, and it was about $17,000. So maybe.
Oh, so really, he just needed a sump pump.
Yeah,
is what you're
and
saying.
like some other things, some drains, some French drains. I don't know. All right, let's move on.
I like that one. All right, let's do assholes.
Oh God, haven't we already done assholes?
It's just this is the problem.
I know.
Like so, not an asshole this week are the man flakes, right? Because it's constant.
Yeah,
I do have four
as that
options.
Quote from Andor said, right? Yeah, it's constant. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, the first option is proxy advisors. I know, look, we do this almost every single week, but on our proxy countdown show, which if you haven't heard it, go get that podcast. It's our more analytical show. We cover AGMs.
First of all, I don't know why we separate the channels. I don't know why, because I feel like as few subscribers as we have here, we have even less for the other one.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of incredible research and information and data in those shows. For any of you who are just high on the nerd scale and really work in this industry.
I thought you were going to just stop with high.
This week particularly was fascinating. You introduced some incredible data about CEO succession, which I found pretty riveting. Again, from a nerdy analyst perspective.
Yeah.
From a human perspective, it's horribly boring.
It's horribly boring.
But the other thing was what you're about to report on. Happening at Zevra Therapeutics is that show always goes deep into a lot of the kind of interesting nuggets that no one else covers, at least with any
so
verve
wonky
or personality. So,
yeah, it's so wonky and then no one covers it, but it's so human that it's fascinating to us. So Zevra Therapeutics was in a activist battle with Daniel Manglis, but ISS and Glass Lewis and Egan Jones, the proxy advisors, weighed in on the proxy battle. Now, Manglis wanted multiple directors on the Zevra board. He ended up losing. He didn't win. But what was amazing to me was when you pulled this for the proxy countdown, reading what ISS and Glass Lewis and Egan Jones had said.
Yeah.
Like, here's ISS. One of the reasons why they said they would not back the activists, they were going to side with Zevra's board, okay? They said, quote, the board's concerns about having a former CEO on the board and potential disruption are valid. So what ISS was saying is Manglis put up a former CEO of Zevra, the founder of Zevra, to rejoin the board and change the direction of the company. And ISS said, the existing board said having a former CEO would be disruptive.
Yeah.
And they agreed.
I agree.
So ISS,
Yeah.
There are 92,594 active directors in the MSCI data that we have from February of this year. 3,123 of them are tagged as former executives at the company, and they're on the board.
That's it. It actually surprises me.
In fact, 522 U.S. companies out of 2,200 or so,
wow.
522 companies have a former executive on the board.
And more often than not, it is the CEO, the former CEO.
In fact, the company National Healthcare Corp has 4 former executives on the board.
Yeah,
4 former executives.
It's almost like I have to give a warning to ISS and Glass Lewis. Like when you attempt to do your jobs during these activist fights, you're kind of unwittingly, just like the Peruvian farmer, you're kind of unwittingly creating precedent. You're creating you're actually accidentally saying out loud governance principles that have long been held by the community in which you operate. Because why is this just important at this one company? Like, what are you doing?
That's my problem, you assholes.
Why are you revealing the secret?
You did the analysis here,
Makes me
agreed that a former CEO would be disruptive, and then at all those other companies where there are former CEOs, former executives, you're saying it's fine? It's fine at all of them? Just this one was the problem.
Yeah, it's not fine. And you know what? If you're worried about doing your jobs, you can add some nuance to it. Say, we'll create, how about this? A sunset clause on their board service. How about they can serve for 3 years, but then we vote you out? Just do something. Come up with some recommendation based on this, because this sounds like you're actually paying attention for once.
I don't even want a recommendation. I just want some semblance of consistency.
Sense.
Like, I just want you, like, there's no common sense. How about this from Glass Lewis and Egan Jones? Glass Lewis said, Mr. Regan, who is one of Manglis's suggested directors for this board, Mr. Regan has limited, dated, and unrelated public board service. Egan Jones also questioned the relevant expertise of Manglis's nominees, stating, quote, "We do not believe Mr. Regan's background in proxy solicitation offers meaningful value in the context of Zevra's boardroom." So what they're saying effectively is they don't have core knowledge of Zevra Therapeutics. Why should they be on the board? Did you miss Dana White at Meta or Nelson Peltz at Disney, who you almost all said was okay? We actually have data on director knowledge. I pulled it all. Our data suggests that 22% of directors on boards globally have direct core knowledge relevant to the industry of the company they're sitting on.
Wow. Yeah, because
only 22%.
That's disheartening, because the company itself, Zevra Therapeutics, said that the reason why they were voting against Regan, because he has no life sciences industry experience or knowledge.
So 78% of directors don't have direct experience. Are we voting against all of them?
Yeah, right. Is that what we should do?
This is the part that I can't wrap my head around.
I don't get it.
Like, suddenly direct experience matters until you look at any other company. I don't. So I am utterly and totally flabbergasted.
It is
by
weird.
this.
We talk about this a lot, but I put this in the context of like sports and sports radio, because one thing that is common knowledge now is as an example, you wouldn't build a basketball team where all your players, all they were good at is like rebounding. That's all they were good at. They can't shoot, right? So why is it so hard for ISS and Glass Lewis to articulate like bigger ideas about the people who run the corporations that basically create our existences? I mean, they employ the globe. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
And then finally, Glass Lewis, in what might have been the best quote of the entire thing, said, quote, "Publication of certain social media activity by Mr. Regan appears to suggest something of a blithe approach to compliance." Glass Lewis looked at the Manglis nominee, Regan's, social media posts and said, because of the nature of those posts, they seemed to not be a person who would seem to not appear to be like a person who's into compliance. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, have you heard of Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Like
I have,
like Alex Karp at Palantir. Like the the people that we that are on these companies, half of them say incredible shit on social media and still keep their jobs.
Yeah.
I can't get over it. You guys are such assholes. You don't say anything consistently.
It's funny
Like
because
use a data point. If you're going to say it here, just go look over there and see if you're consistent before you say it. Before that's your reason.
The one article I left out about Larry Fink in talking about BlackRock is he said that he was warning other CEOs basically to watch what you say, that you have to be a lot more guarded. And he even, I don't know if this is a troll to the climate movement, but he says because we live in a terrarium.
Oh yeah,
but is that is that his like cheeky way of like not caring about?
I think he's talking about a closed ecosystem.
He knows what a terrarium is, though. Yeah, kind of like where we live, kind of a bit of a closed ecosystem in a dome.
Know.
But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so that's number one, the proxy advisors this week. Number two, I'm going to do the next long one: reverse discrimination.
Oh,
so.
Boy.
We saw a story, a woman won a white woman, heterosexual woman won a reverse discrimination case that the Supreme Court basically kicked it back down to earlier court decisions, how she was discriminated against because she was straight and white over two gay people who got promotions.
I thought it was just straight. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I'm sure it's all part of it, but the point here was that effectively she won a discrimination lawsuit as a majority party, right?
Although
was the point.
Which is funny because, like, women are clearly not in the majority when it comes to like leadership at work or business in general, right? But go ahead, yeah.
Well, she won that, and then I saw this job that this story you pulled from ProPublica. Dismissed by DEI, Trump's purge made black women with stable federal jobs an easy target. It chronicles sort of three black women who were working in the federal government whose jobs had nothing to do with diversity. In fact, the first one, Quay Crowner, she enrolled because Betsy DeVos, in Trump's first term, she enrolled in a Betsy DeVos-led program, which was meant to sort of like further women and people of color in the federal workforce.
Yeah, when that was still normal.
Back when that was cool.
I mean, it is still normal, but now all the haters have
apparently this administration used the list of anyone who enrolled in that program to fire them all. So
pure devil work.
She showed up for a job. She was the director of outreach, impact, and engagement, which had nothing to do with impact investing or engagement with diversity. It was everything to do with like getting people federal assistance for college. It was very, very basic stuff, and she'd been there for some years. And she said she was the only person on her team to be let go, and she was the only black woman on the team. Like all of them were white and she was a black woman. In fact, there's a quote from the article, quote, "We have observed," and this is from a group leading a lawsuit against the administration, "we have observed approximately 90% of the workers targeted for termination due to perceived association with diversity, equity, inclusion efforts are women or non-binary." Yeah. So it's a purge of women and non-binary people. We saw this with Strive Asset Management. I was going to
mention that. Yeah, go ahead.
Strive Asset Management, Vivek Ramaswamy, anti-woke sort of, asset manager, was his launch pad to run for the presidency.
Ohio, probably.
Now he's running for the governorship of Ohio. Strive, when you look at their proxy voting records, it was demonstrably anti-female and anti-person of color.
If you just look at the data,
If you look at the data. And then I juxtaposed it with a different story you pulled, which was Trump appoints 22-year-old ex-gardener and grocery store assistant to lead U.S. terror prevention.
Yeah, that's shocking.
So we don't have – I did some data polls of our own because you've been talking about on Proxy Countdown this idea of down to two women on the board.
The quiet purge of having a minimum of 3 women on the board.
Right.
Large market cap.
So I pulled all the data, and it's incomplete because the proxy votes really in our data are back in March for the most part. So the vast majority of votes we don't have in there yet. But the early results comparing at the end of last summer to basically time roughly in March, early April, there are, out of U.S. companies, 54 have become more manly, where they've added men and removed women. 95 have actually become more womanly, added a woman and removed a man.
Yeah.
Which sounds good, except that over 1,100 have had man power-ups. Men got more influence after the changes to the board, and only 1,000 women got more influence.
Okay.
So men are outpacing women in getting power.
Right, and that's data only available at freeflowanalytics.com.
And the secret here, for any company listening, you wanna do your own reverse discrimination purge. If you expand the board, the secret is for companies that expanded their board size from last year to this year, there are 422 boards that expanded. 362 of the expanded seats went to men and 181 went to women. A 2-to-1 ratio. When you expand the board, they're adding men at a 2-to-1 rate versus women on an expanded board.
And notice that the far majority of the time they're not asking shareholders to let them expand the board, and they're also not asking investors to vote on the new director. They're appointing them. Yeah,
it's purely by charter, right? Like they are just by bylaws expanding the board, and then they add a man.
That's interesting.
So when you look at the data on reverse discrimination, what you have is called just discrimination. You assholes are like so focused on white men not getting their due that when you look at the data, they already were getting more than their due, and now they're getting more than their due, right? Like it's just the little subtle tricks in order to effectively remove power from women and people of color are driving me nuts this week. This is not new, but
no, it's not. The other thing that drives me insane, although I don't have any evidence of this at the moment. I didn't collect evidence of this, although maybe I can't collect evidence of this based on what I'm about to complain about. Is that I don't see the stories anymore since Trump 2.0, or really since the election cycle. I don't even see articles championing diversity anymore. It's almost like the people who used to champion it, like us, they don't even celebrate it anymore. They're too afraid to even talk about it. Like
they changed the name.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we're the only ones who still are operating like nothing has changed, because nothing has changed. Just because we've elected this bully of a president doesn't mean we should change our principles. So I don't understand where those stories have gone. We're still allowed to talk about leadership, diversity, and leadership. These are still important things to mark and to celebrate. So I don't know. I wish we could get back to that. I wish people wouldn't be so afraid to lean in to those moments.
Oh no, you just Sheryl Sandberg this.
Wow,
just lean in.
I didn't mean to.
All right, so I have two more, but they're really short. Two more, but they're really short.
Go ahead.
The third option here is robots.
Oh,
I'm just so tired of these stories. Here, I'm just going to read the headlines. I'm not going to say anything about it, okay?
Go ahead.
Amazon testing humanoid robots to deliver packages.
Well, good, because I canceled my Amazon Prime last month.
I mean, come on. FBI says Palm Springs bombing suspects used AI chat program to help plan the attack.
I believe that one, yeah.
Meanwhile, OpenAI to appeal copyright ruling in New York Times case as Altman calls for AI privilege, which is when you talk to AI, it should be like talking to a doctor or a lawyer. No individual chat.
If you're trying to murder your neighbor, that might be privileged information.
That's privileged information now because that's what Altman
any ideas because I don't.
That's what Altman wants. Or Walmart plans to expand drone deliveries to 3 more states.
Good. I don't shop at Walmart too. Another win for me.
Yeah, I just don't. Do you want like robots and drones walking down your street?
Matt,
not even close.
The thing that hurts me the most in my life is when it's the weekend hits and I don't have to think about this stupid company anymore. I'm just sitting out in my hammock and I hear my lazy neighbor who can't he can't operate a rake. He's too dim, despite his advanced degrees. Because I live in a pretty smart neighborhood. He can't operate a rake, and he's got a leaf blower out. So the last thing I want is a stupid drone buzzing in my ear as someone gets like a new like mop from Amazon or whatever.
How about
know.
this?
Yeah.
If you don't like that sound,
I don't.
And this is the last
I don't like
headline
any
from
sounds
this.
other than birds.
Waymo's self-driving taxis have a hilarious problem that's driving people bananas. It is they honk when they back up.
Well, I might be okay with that one.
Like
UPS.
And then back up.
I love that as a kid. They used to do that honk before they were backing up.
Well, you love that as a kid, except that
I don't
in
wanna get run over.
California, where the Waymos are like all over the place,
I've never seen a Waymo.
people are actually they're doing it at like 4 a.m, right? Like they back up into their Charger
It's like
and they're
living in
like,
Brooklyn. Yeah,
it's the
dumpster being
worst
emptied.
apparently.
Yeah.
So I'm so tired of robots.
Okay, that's a stupid one. What else? You
Get
got?
out with robots. And last, retail investors.
Back to investors.
Look, I know I harp on institutional investors all the time, but this week, these two stories hit us. Accused United Healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione said executive had it coming, prosecutors
I
reveal.
don't like that. That doesn't sound right.
And we already talked about how everybody voted for Stephen Hemsley and everybody on this board.
I mean, not to get dark, but one of the, I mean, I'm not a fan of Luigi. I'm not a fan of murder or anything, but not to get too dark, but ostensibly it was Stephen Hemsley who kind of helped to create this nightmare of an industry that Americans are so angry about.
Yeah, but what if Luigi Mangione ran a vote no campaign on the board first? Try that first. You don't have to go to murder.
Actually, as an activist investor, they might pay attention.
Exactly. There's a lot of actually ways to get attention without murder. Like
That's
that,
true,
you don't have to get there. In fact, U.S. Boeing deal over 737 MAX crash is morally repugnant, says lawyer for victims' families. Where start an activist campaign, victims' families. You should all just pool as much money as you possibly can and vote out some of these people. The April vote, the lowest vote for a director was 92% in favor of Robert Bradway. Kelly Ortberg got 98% in favor. 98%.
That decision hurt me. I think it was the fine that they had to pay to the U.S. government was greater than the money going to families. That kind of hurt.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me that if you are a retail investor, the retail mindset is when somebody does something to you, you sit in court for 10 years trying to get reparations for what's been done for you. Like, instead of doing that, in the meantime, why not go buy some shares and make a massive stink? Be an activist, capitalist activist. Get your shares, vote no campaigns, find someone who could do proxy access, put your own directors on the board. Like, that is how you can make change.
And I will say this,
in the interim.
For the cynics out there, these things do occasionally work. We cover ad nauseum. We cover all the large market cap votes on the proxy countdown. And hats off to people like Jim McRitchie. I mean, he puts up relatively mild, benign shareholder proposals about governance. I love them. I support them. But
yeah, they're great.
But it proves that, and sometimes they're winning occasionally. So it proves that shareholders actually will support
Engine number one had something like 0.3% of Exxon shares and won an activist battle of Exxon. So your options are proxy advisors, robots, reverse discrimination, and retail investors.
Well, two of these we have every week: retail investors and proxy advisors. So
That's
I'm gonna
correct.
skip those. I like them. I like those stories. I'm skipping those.
The proxy advisors had the most data.
The robots I actually should be taking more seriously because, again, like, listen to our shows if you really want to know what's happening in the world and what the future holds for you. Because we were complaining and scared about AI long before it caught up to our culture, and now it's the worst thing going. AI. So I can joke about robots now, but I know you're right. I know this is coming, and I know it's going to be overwhelming and horrible. But for now, I'm going to exist in a world where they're not here yet, and I'm going to go against, based on the Supreme Court decision this week, I'm definitely voting for reverse discrimination, especially based on this reporting out of ProPublica this purge against black women holding federal jobs. Good reporting.
I mean, to your point, it's not just holding federal jobs. It's a quiet purge in corporate
general.
Jobs, right? Like in general. So
and this is why the supporters have to fight back. You got to have your voice, because if you don't fight back, it's a tacit approval of turning back the clock.
People.
So you
say
have
something.
to say something.
Even if you only say it with your votes, say something, right? Like you've got to say something. All right, let's do headlines, winners, predictions. Let's get out of here. Going into our 12th hour.
Would be an hour.
Yeah, I got a quick headline list anyway.
Go ahead. Go. I'm gonna go fast too.
All right. This headline. I saw this headline and I was like, of course. The maker of Taser. You know tasers?
Yeah. I've watched TV.
Yeah, they cops shoot.
Better than a gun.
It's better than a gun. They electrify the person, and they're actually kind of horrible for you.
Like a toaster. Yeah, go ahead.
The maker of Taser is the highest paid CEO, taking home $165 million of the S&P 500. His new pay package and soaring stock made him a billionaire last year.
Name him. What's his name?
His name is. It's from the company Aon. His name is Rick Smith.
Oh, of course it's Rick Smith.
My
headline...
Axon, not Aon. Axon.
My headline of the week, in light of this headline, Meta's platforms have become a cesspool of hatred against queer people. In light of that, I wanted to applaud this op-ed from the New York Times. The headline, Anthropic CEO, don't let AI companies off the hook. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei opposes a proposed 10-year federal ban on state AI regulation, warning the ban would leave states unable to act in the nation without a coherent federal policy exposing the public to AI risk. So this is a guy who runs an AI company actually doing something good. I applaud him. That's my headline of the week.
Okay. I don't believe it. Who's your winner?
I knew you would say that. And if we had more time, I'd like to hear your cynical rip apart of Dario. But
every one of these fucking tech bros
don't do it.
Just beg for regulation.
We're trying to get out.
It's all fake.
Under an hour.
Who's the winner?
Well, you already cited this. My winner is, of course, the meritocracy, when we have 22-year-old ex-gardeners and grocery store assistants who are now leading terrorism prevention teams for the Trump administration. I mean, again, proving that there is no meritocracy.
There's no meritocracy.
So when they are firing women and black women and ruling against gay people, speak up. Come on, speak up.
There's no meritocracy. My winner is no one. After reading no fewer than 12 hours and 500 stories of the Musk-Trump feud, even going down this short rabbit hole of like, what are the most recent feuds that I can think of, and like reading about wrestling feuds in the last year, I've concluded that this week there are no winners. We are all losers this week. That is how I feel.
A winner could be Moira Donegan, a Guardian journalist. Her headline on this story was, "The inevitable Trump-Musk feud is finally here, and it's pathetic." I just like that. It's a great headline. All right.
It's succinct. You got a prediction?
I do. Musk challenges Trump to a cage match on Mars. The winner gets X, Twitter, and the loser gets Truth Social. But actually, no. I say that, but honestly, sadly, I think their hatred for all things DEI and gay is too much to keep them apart, especially in the month of Pride.
That's true.
Juneteenth. Juneteenth is coming up. They're going to reunite over their hate.
They're going to reunite.
This is the month of hate, people. All right, what do you got?
All right, here's mine. My prediction is the 19 analysts. The 19 analysts covering Palantir stock are given umbrellas by their respective firms after this headline. Trump may team with tech company to create a database of Americans. Trump is teaming with Palantir, and that's 2 months after CEO Alex Karp said at a book tour that Wall Street analysts who tried to screw the company should be sprayed with light fentanyl-laced urine from drones.
Oh, it's so cute, so clever.
I just want to say, callback alert, Glass Lewis also said the publication of certain social media activity by Mr. Karp seems to suggest something of a blithe approach to compliance.
Yes, I'm with you.
That's all we got. That's
I like what you
Hazelnut
did there, by the
Rallis.
way.
I am your analyst, Matt Biscardi. We are Free Flow. Come back next week when we've got more and more and more shows. Until then, good.